Welcome to the Becoming You show with me, your host, Leah Rowling. Do you believe you are capable of choosing your future? Sometimes it takes just one person to believe in you, for you to believe in yourself. If you find yourself continuing to say, someday I will take better care of myself, only to continue living the same day over and over and over again, then you, my friend, are in the right place. I am your biggest cheerleader, inspiring you to become you on purpose and with intention. Are you ready to create a life you love? I'm excited to share with you some big ideas that you can use today to inspire, impact, and influence your life and everyone in it. The Becoming You show starts now. Happy Friday, friends. How are you? How was your week? We made it to another Friday, and whether or not you feel like it was a great week or not, you still have this day. What will you choose to do with it? You still have this opportunity to get inspired and to shift and to choose how you want to show up, to refocus and to reset. It's always a choice. Today, I'm super excited to talk to you about the secret to success. And I don't think it's what you think. Not because you're lazy. It's not because of your circumstances. It's not because of how you were raised. It's not because of your IQ. It's not because of your appearance or your popularity. It's not because of the city you live in. It's not because of whether or not you're landlocked. It's because of your feelings. Okay. And I talk about feelings a lot on the podcast and in the work I do because they were once so foreign to me. They so often eluded me. I got so good at being fine that I think I truly believed that I was. Now, some of you might be thinking, what's wrong with being fine, Leah? And to that, I have two things to say. If you are truly fine, then I have no problem with that, right? If you are truly fine, then you will also feel truly not fine. If you haven't noticed or haven't allowed for the opposition of your fine, then your fine isn't fine. Secondly, an inauthentic fine does not allow you to show up genuinely, honestly, and vulnerably. And all three are required for true connection with not only yourself, but with the world. I know this because this was my life. My fine was not fine. My fine disconnected me from having any real and meaningful relationships. I wore my fine proudly because if I wasn't fine, then I would have to admit that I was anything but. I would have to admit that I was weak, that something was wrong with me, that I wasn't worthy or lovable, that I wasn't enough. And that, my friends, would confirm the story I was trying so desperately to run from. Fine meant that I didn't need help or support. Fine meant that I had my life together. Fine meant that I had figured life out. Fine meant that I didn't have to be vulnerable. Fine allowed me to pretend that I was something that I wasn't. Fine allowed me to bypass this emotional undercurrent and walk out my house like nothing was wrong. I still catch myself sometimes double checking my fine to ensure its authenticity. So I want you to ask yourself, what are you feeling? And if you're feeling great, good, outstanding. But if you're not feeling so good, what is that about? What is the feeling? Can you name it? Is it worry? Is it frustration? Is it depressed? Is it guilt? Is it resentment? Is it bored? Friends, feelings are not soft and fluffy. Feelings are also not a gender thing, right? They are a human thing. They are everything. Feelings are the currency for us to live the biggest life ever. And I'm going to try to sell you on that today in this podcast, because I wish I would have known that avoiding my feelings and fining them away for decades was costly. It prevented me from having true and real relationships. I would have had to feel vulnerable for that. It prevented me from going after my dreams. I would have had to feel disappointed. It prevented me from knowing who I was. I would have had to feel frustrated. It prevented me from sitting still. If I was moving, I wasn't feeling. It prevented me from setting boundaries and being honest. Hard to be honest when I'm people pleasing and pretending that I want to do something that I don't. That might mean that people might not like me and that I would have to feel rejected and abandoned. It stole my integrity. It prohibited my alignment, and it deterred my growth. I would say that's pretty costly. I truly believe that if you can master the two things that I'm going to share with you today, you will create more goodness, more love, more abundance, more success, and become a different version of you and more powerful than you ever thought possible. So first thing, we have to understand what is true and not true about feelings. And second thing, we have to be willing and able to feel feelings. These are the two things that I'm promising you that if you master, you'll have all the goodness and you will reach and maximize the fullest potential of who it is that you are. So let's dive into the first one. Understanding what is true and not true about feelings. Here's what's true. Feelings are the fuel for everything we do. Feelings are the fuel for everything we don't do. They are the reason we are successful and the reason we're not successful. The secret to success is feelings. Think about it. Success is determined by how well we obey ourselves. Meaning, do we do what we say we're going to do? The reason we don't obey ourselves is because we don't want to feel. Every single excuse we make in this life is because of an emotion. Want to stop making excuses? Start feeling. Everything we do or don't do is either to feel a certain way or to not feel a certain way. If I live my life avoiding hard, avoiding bored, avoiding disappointment, avoiding tired, avoiding failure, avoiding true connection, my life will no doubt suck. What else is true is emotions are created by our thinking. They are vibrations in the body. That's it. So why is it that we try so hard to avoid them? Is it because we don't want to waste time on feeling a feeling? Is it that we don't want to really feel the pain? Is it that we don't want to suffer? Is it that we don't want to admit that we don't always have it together? Is it our overall story about feeling in general? When you think about feelings, what's your feeling story? When you were growing up, were feelings allowed? Were they permitted? Were they celebrated? Or were they dismissed, deflected, and diffused? Do you think feelings are for the weak? Do you think feelings make you imperfect? Do you think feelings confirm your fears that something has gone wrong, that maybe you are wrong? We distract ourselves with food and social media and shopping and the quote unquote doing to not feel. And what's interesting is that so much of the time, distractions take more time. And I know for sure they create their own suffering and pain. Friends, the absolute worst thing ever is to have a negative emotion. And when you realize that negative emotions aren't even all that bad, you can actually begin to step into this greatness of your life. In order to reinvent your life, in order to become new versions of us, we have to break the habit of being us, which means we have to be willing to be uncomfortable, discontent, disappointed. I promise you this is true. How you feel on the daily determines your personality. It's how other people perceive you, right? She's a happy-go-lucky person. She's a negative Nelly. Feelings are oftentimes how we characterize other people, right? Like, oh man, you're going to love her. She's always so happy. She's always got the best attitude. Or, oh man, He's super chill and super easygoing. Your I am statements are qualified by the emotional expression of who it is that we are being. I'm impatient. I am kind. I'm an avoider. I'm a procrastinator. All of these identities create your reality. And as Joe Dispenza says, your personality creates your personal reality. So then your ability then to allow and understand feelings, your I am statements, makes you either more or less successful at anything you have the desire to do. Here's what feelings are not. Feelings are not facts. They are not an expression of what is true, rather an invitation to explore the perception of what you think is real. Feelings are not dictators, meaning they are not for you to use or deflect on someone else. Rather, an indicator that there is something for you to explore, heal from, and grow. I didn't realize that my shame was for me to explore and heal. And so instead, I blamed everyone else, right, on how they were not enough for me, on how they didn't support me, on how they didn't care about me. When I healed my shame, it was me that was not enough for me. It was me that didn't support me. And it was me that didn't care about me. Feelings are also in the present. There are no such thing as past and future feelings. There's not. There's just feelings in the now moment created by sentences in our brain. Okay? So that's feeling. The second thing I want you to master is actually how to feel feelings. When I say we want to give meaning to our situations, right? So that we can find something, not only that we believe, but that allows us to feel better. It doesn't mean that to feel happy all the time, right? There are things in your life that you're not going to want to feel happy about. But most times we can identify a better emotion, one that makes us move through an experience better versus stuck in an experience bitter. I also want you to feel in control of your feelings, not so fearful of them, and able and willing to feel them. And I think one of the best ways to control your feelings is to realize that you are a feeling being, that you're supposed to feel feelings, that nothing is wrong with you when you do. It doesn't make you weak or pathetic or incapable. It makes you human. You take control of them by owning the responsibility for them, not projecting them onto other people, and feeling them, knowing that they are just vibrations in the body created by your thoughts. My hope is that in knowing this, that if we are the creators of them, they also become less scary. It is part of our physiology, part of our humanness. And when you know that this is not only part of your humanness, that it's actually required to live the most amazing life possible. I want to share with you why. First, when you don't understand that we are supposed to feel, we double down on the feeling. We worry that we're worried. We get mad that we're mad. We get frustrated that we are frustrated. And instead of just feeling that feeling, we judge it. We put an immense amount of shame around it. And when we judge it, that emotion escalates. Let me give you an example. When you are overwhelmed, we create anxiety for ourselves. Did you know that you could just do a little overwhelm? You could. But when we judge it and when we get mad at it, we create a hefty dose of anxiety for ourselves. Do you see how we're compounding it with this? Second, when we resist it and we don't want to feel it, we limit the possibility of our life. Let me give you another example. If I'm scared of being disappointed, I risk the opportunity to be fulfilled. We have to take risks sometimes to pursue our goals and our dreams and our desires. And if we have a zero disappointment tolerance, our destiny will be defined by the randomness of our comfortability. Think about what you haven't done, the dreams that you haven't put into motion for fear of disappointment. Guys, we could do a little disappointment, right? If that's the worst thing that we have to feel, we can all feel it. If we fear rejection, we miss out on genuine connection. True connections require vulnerability. It requires us to stop pretending. It requires us to stop people pleasing and start being real. If we never let our true selves be known, if we keep our guard or our wall up, this was my fine fence. When we do that so that no one can truly reject us because they don't even genuinely know us. And yes, that might mean that people don't like you, but consider they didn't like you anyway. They liked a pretend version of you. I would much rather be me and have the people like me for me than not be me and have people like a pretend version of me. I'm not for everyone. And when I try to live for everyone, I actually end up living for no one. Here's another one. When we fear failure and make it mean all sorts of heavy things, we miss out on success. When we are not willing to be uncomfortable, we lose out on integrity and authenticity. This is similar to that rejection and connection notion. Sometimes we know we are people pleasing and pretending. We even know that it is not serving us, but we are so uncomfortable saying what's actually true. We don't want to upset anyone, so we upset ourselves. We are so afraid that they might get mad at us. So instead, we get mad at ourselves. When it's really uncomfortable to say what's true, we forgo our integrity, our authenticity, and attempt to manage someone else's feelings. So many times I see us giving our emotional well-being over to people that are hardly able and capable of handling their own. Authenticity is your word to yourself. It is saying that you matter, that you are important, that the full expression of you is what is required. You wouldn't dare say to your kids or your best friend, hey, you know what I think? If you were just a little different, if you could just pretend to be somebody else, that would make people happy. So just do that. Heck no. But how often do we do that to ourselves? I see it far too often. See how not allowing or getting good at negative emotion creates challenges for us? It either compounds it and it causes us to show up in a way that we don't want, or it creates results in a way that we don't want. It is perfectly safe to feel any emotion when you know that that they are created by you and that they are not what's true about your world. And if they are true emotions, i.e., being attacked by a bear or being held hostage at gunpoint, then we should be afraid. We want to be afraid. We want the brain to produce a surge of adrenaline to kick in. But that is rarely the case. Most of our emotions that we feel are just part of being human. So here's the truth. There is opposition in all things, including feelings. And with this contrast of emotion, our life is much more beautiful. It is necessary. I think our emotions allow us to grow, connect, and step into the highest version of ourselves. We think we want comfort and ease, but there's no growth there. We think we want predictability, but there are no possibilities there. So I hope I was able to sell you, or at least kind of create some awareness that emotions might matter. They might even more than matter. They might be the reason for every single result in your life. So if this is true, then what are the emotions that you operate from on the daily? What is your normal? Our bodies fight to rebalance and get to homeostasis, i.e. normal. So it's really important to know what it is. Have you ever gone on vacation or had some other really amazing experience, an experience that was incredibly exciting? And did you notice that when you came back home, you found yourself a little down, a little sad? That is because your body, your physiology needs to get you back to baseline. When you were on vacation, you were way up here. If this is your normal, your physiology brings you all the way back down here to normalize you here at homeostasis. So if you were to choose the emotions that make up your normal, what would they be? Maybe confident, maybe grateful, maybe committed, maybe curious, maybe compassionate, content, joyful. What would it be? You get to choose. Did you know that you could just generate whatever emotions that you wanted? I want to challenge you to look at your normal. What emotions are you operating from? Some of us operate from a couple of positives, a couple of negative ones. Right? What are the negative ones that you're operating from? I know before I started doing this work, I felt frustration every single day. And I've done so much work. And it's not to say that I don't feel it sometimes. I do, but it's not my normal. I knew frustration was not the emotion that I wanted to fuel my life. Frustration and annoyance was second nature to me. I constantly noticed how everyone was doing it wrong, how they were just not very smart, or how they should ask me how to do it right, or my kids are doing it wrong, or the people that I encountered are just misinformed, right? And then I would get frustrated and irritated and annoyed and super judgmental that they should be doing it differently. And why is it that they don't see it the way I see it? This wasn't working for me in my life. I get tired of being so frustrated with everyone and my kids and myself. And I just finally said, enough is enough. And I shifted to curiosity. And that is so much better, my friends, than judgment. Curiosity solves for judgment. Curiosity gets me out of judging why she thinks that way to wondering why she does. Instead of judging what they believe, curiosity asks, I wonder why they believe that. Curiosity allows me to be compassionate in the experience instead of frustrated. Instead of getting mad, right, when my kids swear, I wonder why they like that word so much. Curiosity allows me to hold them accountable without getting angry. It looks like this. Why is it that you love to say fill in explicit word so much? Well, since you love it so much, you can write that word 100 times. It's not fail-proof, but almost. They dislike writing. When I get curious with everyone else, guess who else I get curious with? Myself. I wonder why I stayed up too late. I wonder why I overate. I wonder why I'm not following through. I wonder what I'm needing. Curiosity is an emotion that you can generate on purpose. Whenever I judge less, I always feel better. Curiosity connects us and me to humanity. It's one of my very favorite emotions. You know what other emotion I love? Gratitude. And I'm sure you're sick and tired about hearing how important a gratitude practice is. And I'm sorry, I'm going to tell you again, it's not just trendy or popular. It is the single most important researched practice to reorient and rewire your brain to hope. Your brain is already on the lookout for what's going wrong, looking for a problem to solve. Gratitude looks for what's right, what's good, and what we appreciate appreciates. There are several ways that you can practice gratitude. One, through journaling. I like to write 5 things that I'm grateful for every day in my planner. And if nothing comes, I just start with A and then run through the alphabet. It doesn't have to be huge things. It can be little things. A reoccurring gratitude for me are mechanical pencils. I love them and I'm so thankful for them because I always have a sharp pencil and that's really all I write with. I do have my fair share of highlighters and markers, but nothing beats, right, a good mechanical pencil. So that's what I'm grateful for. My other gratitude practice is really, really simple. I call it my 2-minute morning. And while I'm brushing my teeth, I have a little conversation with me. I ask myself how I am and how I want to be and how I'm thankful for why it's going to be a good day and maybe why it wasn't a good day. Gratitude feels normal for me, but it didn't always. It didn't until I started intentionally generating this emotion for myself. Another emotion that I love and that I chose on purpose was commitment. I wanted to make commitment part of my normal because it is such a useful emotion. Commitment is a no matter what emotion. It is a I am going to do what I say emotion. Commitment is a self-respect emotion. Commitment is I do what I say I'm going to do. And I don't say it if I'm not going to do it. I really try to treat myself like I do everyone else. I'm far from perfect at it, but I try. I wouldn't tell you that I'm going to meet you for coffee on Saturday and not show up. And yet we do that to ourselves all the time. I'm going to start working out on Monday, and then Monday comes and we change our mind. I'm going to start going to bed earlier. I'm going to cut out sugars. No more Diet Coke. Think about the success that you would have if you learn to obey yourself. Commitment is obeying yourself. It's honoring your word. Those are my favorite 3 emotions. Now, this doesn't mean that I don't experience negative emotion. Of course I do. This is just my homeostasis. This is where I live. So I want you to tell yourself the truth. What are the top 3 emotions that you operate from, and where and what do you want them to be? What if this month you worked on replacing a negative emotion? One with like compassion or commitment or curiosity or contentment. I promise you, practicing this single skill, feeling and generating emotions, is the key to your success, right? Friends, knowing what feelings are and knowing how to feel them and generate them is the key to living an amazing life. A life that is rich in experience, rich in opposition, rich in connection and fulfillment. Our success is dependent upon it. If you like this episode, would you do me a huge, huge favor? Would you share it with some of your favorite people and ask them to do the same? This movement requires our movement. This movement to become more of who it is that we are by being more. I truly believe that together, you and me, we can become more and inspire others to do the same. We can change the world one mindset at a time, starting with ourselves. If you want to take what you're learning on this podcast to the next level, I want you to check out our Becoming group. I would love to have you in there. You can check us out at www.learolling.com/becoming. This community needs more people like you dedicated to their personal growth and their personal development. If you have questions with anything that you have learned here, want help with something going on in your life, you can also pop on a free coaching call. Just head over to my website, grab a spot, and I can't wait to visit with you about this. Thanks for being with me here. Have an amazing weekend, everyone, and I will see you next Friday at 11 Central. See you soon.
You have been listening to the Becoming You show with me, your host, Leah Rolling, where I share big ideas to inspire, impact, and influence your life. Tune in every Friday at 11 Central on transformationtalkradio.com for your morning cup of coffee, the hug you never want to end, and that inspirational message that you felt was written just for you. Each show is inspiring you to become you with purpose and intention. For more information or to connect with me, visit www.leahrolling.com.